Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome on board the second peer learning webinar organized in the scope of the Policy Answers project. Policy Answer project is a Horizon Europe coordination and support action. It is focused on supporting the policy dialogue, aligning priorities and building capacities in regards to the Western Balkans agenda. This is a very important agenda on innovation, research, education, culture, youth and sports. This is a long-term strategy that EU and the Western Balkan authorities has been designing it for cooperation within the region. Our project also features a dedicated Western Balkan Info Hub. This is an online platform where you can find all relevant information, news, and resources concerning these areas of intervention of the Western Balkan agenda. One of our horizontal activities within Policy Answers project deals with both gender mainstreaming and inclusiveness of our project activities. So we try all of our project activities to be as gender mainstream and inclusive as possible, as well as providing resources and good practices for inclusive gender equality within and beyond our project. Our peer learning webinar, like this one today, are in fact serving this purpose, learning more about what different initiatives, organizations, projects are doing in promoting inclusive gender equality. Today, I have with me 4 great guests, all renowned researchers and professionals in their field, with all of them sharing, they all share one common commitment to promoting dedicated gender actions in the areas of research and education. Before we proceed, just a quick info on the ground rules. The webinar will be recorded, so it can be, you can revisit it later on our YouTube channel if you want to find out a little bit more of what we talked today. My colleagues will share with you some relevant links and info in the chat, including the link to the evaluation questionnaire for the webinar. So please be as kind as to fill it at the end of our webinar. And you can use the Q&A function of our Zoom platform to post questions to our panelists, as we're having a dedicated Q&A session after the presentation part. Now, without further ado, I'm pleased to present you our first speakers. We have today with us Dr. Rachel Palman and Associated Professor Jovana Mihailović-Trbovc, both of them researchers with great interest in the field of gender equality. Dr. Rachel is a senior researcher at Internet Interdisciplinary Institute in Spain, in Barcelona, and she will be presenting the INSPIRE project, which is a very important flagship project of the European Commission for promoting Center of Excellence on inclusive gender equality in research and innovation. So very important topic for gender mainstreaming. Whereas Jovana Mihailović-Trbovc, she is a research associate at the Slovenian Academy of Sciences and Arts, and she will be presenting as the so-called UNIGEM community of practice. Why having such a distinguished guest on our panel? Well, it's not just because of their research interests. For instance, Rachel is not only interested in gender equality and science research studies, but she's also working on and has been working on many gender actions supported by the European Commission, such as the F40 project. I'm sure that you have heard a lot about these different projects that I'm going to mention now, just to name them few. The F40 project developed an evaluation framework for promoting gender equality in research and innovation and coordinated 19 case studies of gender equality interventions in research and innovation throughout Europe. Then the ACT project, I'm sure you're familiar with it, which established 8 communities of practice for advancing gender equality in research and innovation. This is just to name few. And now at the moment, she's the coordinator of the INSPIRE Horizon Europe 4 years project with 14 partners in Europe and Latin America. But she will tell us more on the project in a minute. And just a quick words about our dear Jovana Mihailović-Trbovc, the research associate at the Slovenian Academy of Sciences and Arts. She has been researching on topics very interesting on social memory of wars, history of feminism taught during socialism, and is working on issues related to gender equality in academia. She acts as a gender equality advisor at the Academy and is also a member of the Commission for Equal Opportunity in Science in Slovenia. Thank you both for this great, for accepting our invitation. Now I would like to invite Dr. Rachel Palman to take the floor and to share with us the INSPIRE project.
Thanks very much, Gabriella, and thanks very much to your project for inviting us to present today at the INSPIRE project. I'm very lucky to be here with Jovana, who will speak a little bit about the UNIGEM COP, and I'm going to speak a little bit about the INSPIRE project. So let's hope I can share my screen. Here we go. Can you see the screen. Yeah, so I'm going to speak a little bit about Inspire, which is a Horizon Europe project to create the European Centre of Excellence on inclusive gender equality in research and innovation. I'll speak a little bit about the call information. I'll speak a little bit about the project, a little bit about the methodologies and the work packages, as well as the knowledge and support services that we'll be providing throughout the project. And then I'll hand over to Giovanna, who will speak a little bit about the Unigem COP. So, as I said, we put together a proposal. We put together a proposal in response to the call. It's a research and innovation action. It's a €5 million project, and we started on the 1st of October in 2022. We're roughly halfway through the project, and the project will end on the 30th of September 2026. So we're roughly halfway through the project. So what's the main aim of the project? Well, the main objective of the project is to really establish a world-class European Centre of Excellence to streamline access to knowledge and expertise across research and innovation throughout the European research area, as well as providing thought leadership and direction in the design, implementation and evaluation of inclusive gender equality plans from an intersectional perspective. And as you can see here, the call outcome is really not only just advancing knowledge, but also advancing knowledge, policy and practice on inclusive gender equality in research and innovation throughout Europe with an intersectional perspective, and to really try and reduce different disparities, the different disparities across the member states, and strengthen the ERA and its inclusive objective. So we're a consortium of 14 different partners from 10 different European countries, and we also have a partner from Argentina, Flaxa, from Latin America. And what's our methodology for the project? Well, this was really important for us when we put together the bid, because we really wanted to not only just produce knowledge, so look at developing an evidence base on what do we mean when we talk about inclusive gender equality, and how do we integrate an intersectional perspective into gender equality plans. But for us, it was really, really important to provide practical support for those organisations that really wanted to engage with the whole change process. So really, we've got these two main objectives that have structured the whole project. So building up the evidence base, because there is a real lack of knowledge and evidence on what do we mean when we talk about inclusive gender equality. How can we really integrate an intersectional perspective into gender equality plans? And then also, how can we really try and provide effective support to different organisations that want to integrate an intersectional perspective into their work on gender equality to become more inclusive? So here you can see our different work packages. We have here work package on management. We have a work package on strategic analysis and steering that's almost finished. And what we're really in the middle of at the moment is this work package 3. Now, this is really where we carry out all our empirical research activities. I'll detail those later on in the presentation. We're also in the middle of work package 4, which is really where we provide these different support services to different organisations who are trying to push forward inclusive gender equality. We also have a work package for the technical and logistical infrastructure. Also another one on dissemination, sustainability and policy impact. But our work package 6, for example, tries to look at scaling up all the support services that we provide to give access online to all of these kinds of services. So you can see here, these are all our different tasks. We've got lots of different tasks. We've got 40 deliverables to deliver during the course of the project. So it's really quite a an ambitious project. But you can see here how we've structured our how we're trying to structure Inspire. So we take this really sort of distributed approach to knowledge production. We identified 4 main thematic areas that we wanted to really develop knowledge and provide support on throughout the project. So firstly, sustaining change. We thought it was really, really important that we look at how do institutions that have already really begun their change journey, how do they sustain change when, for example, there's lots of literature that shows if the top management body changes and the rectors committee and decide that they're not really pushing forward gender equality, how can you really sustain change in these kind of scenarios? So this knowledge and support hub really looks at, you know, how do we overcome resistance and how do we push forward change processes? Then we have the widening participation knowledge and support hub, where we really look at how can we build on local knowledges, how can we build on local struggles for pushing forward gender equality, to really spread the kind of different change journeys that organisations are engaging with. And then we look at then we have the intersectionality knowledge and support hub, where it's really here where we really try and unpack what kind of intersectional gender equality policies are currently being developed, what kind of equality, diversity and inclusion initiatives are currently being developed in different research and innovation organisations, and how can we try and map these and then build a very sort of extensive evidence base on what is actually already happening, because this seems to be the big unknown. And then we have our innovation knowledge and support hub. Now, this is really where we're looking. This has a focus on the private sector, and we're really looking at how can we create more inclusive innovations. Now, you can see here from this, it's quite a complex diagram, but this is really the structure of the project. So we've got the 4 different knowledge and support hubs, and each of these knowledge and support hubs have 4 different thematic experts that are external to the consortium but are linked to them to provide external input. And also each of these knowledge and support hubs has 3 different communities of practice linked to them. So for example, these are communities of practice of normally between 8 and 10 organisations that are working together to really implement a change process on the ground. And we have Giovanna here who'll speak a little bit about one of the communities of practice, the Unigem community of practice that she's been involved with supporting. So here you can see the different communities of practice that we're supporting. This is through the Sustaining Change Knowledge and Support Hub. This is the Widening Participation Knowledge and Support Hub. The Intersectionality Knowledge and Support Hub, and the Innovation Knowledge and Support Hub. And at the moment, these different communities of practice are in the process of signing their Memorandum of Understanding with us at the Open University of Catalonia, and also developing their work plan throughout the project. And as I said, we've got this very ambitious knowledge program. So what we really want to do, you know, this was really, you know, one of the main aims of the Centre of Excellence, to really push forward the knowledge base on inclusive gender equality in research and innovation. So what have we done so far? We've carried out 6 different scoping literature reviews in task 2.1. These are in the 4 different thematic areas. We also had an extra scoping literature review specifically looking at Latin America, as well as one looking at data gathering and data monitoring. We've also carried out an EU27 national expert questionnaire, where we tried to map the different main topics, the legislative and policy frameworks in different countries throughout Europe. And really what we're in the middle of doing now is the empirical research, which involves, we've developed different gender equality plan monitoring and indicators. And we've implemented a GEP monitoring survey, which looks at GEP prevalence, implementation and impact throughout Europe. We're also in the middle of developing the new GM tool. This is at the institutional level. It's a tool that enables you to carry out a gender equality audit. And in this version, it's got an emphasis looking at how to incorporate students and administrative staff in this survey. We're also in the middle of we've just carried out 14 in-depth case studies looking at GEP success. So this is really trying to identify what are the main factors that can really enable a successful change process. And our colleagues at the University of Hasselt in Belgium are managing another range of case studies looking at equality, diversity and inclusion, as well as intersectionality case studies. So this is really trying to map those interventions that are making the shift away from not away from gender equality, but incorporating other axes of inequalities and privileges into different policy interventions. And then we have some gender sensitive innovation policy case studies, which are really looking at more sort of research funding organisations and how can you really try and foster inclusive gendered innovations in terms of research content or innovation content. All our deliverables are they're all on the website and they're all uploaded onto Zenodo, so you can access all of the literature reviews. Everything that we've spoken about here you can access on the website. And we've also developed this extensive support service portfolio. So we're going to, by the end of the project, we're going to have 10 different open training units. These will all be online. And we're also developing 5 different support packages throughout the project. So for example, here you can see one of our support packages. Now this support packages was the first support package that we've developed, which is really setting up a community of practice. So how do you set up a community of practice for equality work? I think we've got 3 different support packages that are online at the moment, and we're in the process of developing the last 2. And we also have the Inspire learning platform where all our open training units will be available. We have a stakeholder database. So if you're an expert in gender equality, in equality, diversity and inclusion initiatives, you can sign up to our database. And the idea is that eventually we'll be able to use this database to, for example, if organisations are looking for experts to help them through their structural change process, we can put organisations in touch with certain experts that are needed to push forward this process. So this is open, everyone can register in the database. And now I'll hand over to my colleague, Giovanna.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. I just want to notify everybody that I put the link to Zenodo profile page where you can find all the deliverables from Inspire project. So I'm going to present you as an example one of the 12 communities of practice that we support as part of Inspire project. And this is one of the good examples how Inspire project is trying to build up on already existing successful initiatives. So Unigem started first as a networking project of 20 public and private universities from the countries of former Yugoslavia. It was a project that is going to end soon and started as a project financed by the UK Embassy in Sarajevo, since the TPO Foundation from Sarajevo is the coordinator, and that is the only NGO as part of the COP. And the main aims of the Unigem project initially were to establish gender mainstreaming policies and mechanisms at the partner institutions. So this, by the rule, meant adopting a gender equality plan, but also other associated measures which are in accordance with particular national legislative requirements or specificities, or some particular specificities of a particular institution. Because as part of the UNIGEM project, you have a very large universities like University of Belgrade, which is rather functioning as a network of faculties. And then you have relatively small private universities that are usually having only few faculties and are more integrated. Then the second aim of the UNIGEM project was to foster academic exchange among the universities in the countries that we all know have been in conflict 30 years ago, which means that we still have to work on using the legacy of living in one country, speaking one language. So the communication and legislation is very similar, but also because of the different trajectories countries had in the past 30 years, this exchange that maybe existed before has been broken, or simply the setting has changed a lot. So one of the countries from which universities are participating in UNIGEM is an EU member, which puts them in a somewhat different legislative framework. And then the third aim is particular focus on gender-based violence or prevention of it, and prevention of sexual harassment, especially in the light of a slightly belated Me Too movement that went throughout the Balkans in 2021. Next slide, please. Rachel. Yes, so these are the key persons from the UNIGEM network. Maybe you know some of them. We have put on board also the coordinator of UNIGEM project, and kept the project coordinator Lamia Subasic from TPO Foundation as one of two COP facilitators. This is something that is useful to say, that it turned out that COPs are functioning well when there are two individuals involved in coordinating it. And Jelena Cheriman is expert to Knowledge and Support Hub on widening participation, and she's somewhere a knowledge bridge between the project and the UNIGEM network, since she participated in it from the very beginning. Next webpage. Yeah, one before. So UNIGEM project was very fruitful in not only fostering gender equality plans at their institution, but also conducting research as part of preparation of gaps, but also conducting research on other topics that are relevant for wider understanding of gender equality in academia. So here I just chose 3 of 5 publications that have been published, and all of them are in local language except the one that is in English, and I'm putting the link to the publication in chat. Now, why is this important? Please give us the next slide, which is also the last one. And that is, we realized that what Inspire project can help is precisely in spreading the impact of a wonderful work that has been done in just 4 years of UNIGEM project. So one part of our support is to help UNIGEM network in translating their publications, the final one that is evaluating the whole impact or work done as part of UNIGEM project is in the preparation. It's going to be the last and the 6th publication. And out of this, we will try to translate as much as possible into English, make it open access access and organize dissemination events. In this way, in a way, we will spread further in the region and also outside of Serbo-Croatian or Bosnian language knowledge about very interesting project results that have been done as part of the project. And then another Unigem COP Unigem as a COP chose to use other support package from Inspire project, and that is sustaining and deepening change, meaning that we will organize and help them organize trainings on gap evaluation, and particularly inclusion of gap monitoring indicators into the legislative framework of local countries, which are requiring from public institutions certain type of annual reporting. So in this way, we are trying to lower the burden of administrative and research staff who are on one hand trying to fulfill the requirements of Horizon standards of having gender equality plans with some particular national requirements. And of course, all of this should help in sustaining gender equality plans over longer period of time, as some not project-based, but institutional, part of the institutional framework of all these universities. Thank you very much. Rachel, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Jovana, for sharing the Inspire. It's very, very ambitious, but yet very needed. Community of practice is a very, for, at least in my personal opinion, not sufficiently used resource, but very, very valuable. And we are looking forward to all the outcomes of your project. We will be, of course, following, using, spreading, disseminating whatever is going to be delivered within the Inspire project. We are looking forward to the training units, and we are very much interested in how the intersectionality part will be included, and especially what I like what Jovana mentioned at the end, the sustaining the sustainability of JEPs, which is very, very important, because we all, as scientific research organizations, academic or even private, that participate in Horizon or in general want to improve gender mainstreaming and inclusiveness within their organizations. We all have gaps, but sustaining it sometimes can be a bit problematic, and all evaluation frameworks in national, local languages, in English, whatever, and open source resources are very, very important. And this networking and possibility for external experts to join, it's very, very important. And having that said about networking, about this movement when it comes to gender mainstreaming, inclusiveness in STEM, in research, I'm very pleased that today we have with us our next speaker, my colleague, the coordinator of a project that I'm also involved in, Katalin Oborny from HETPA Research Institute from Hungary, the coordinator of the Stream IT project, a project that does a lot of different things, but in principle, it is recognized as a project that is focused on supporting the EU manifesto for STEAM education and research and innovation careers to tackle gender inequalities. Katalin has a PhD in sociology and master's degree in history, pedagogy, and gender studies. And of course, research interests that include STEM education, gender equality, women entrepreneurship, work-life balance. We talk a little bit in the practice session how it is difficult to for women and girls to reach this work-life balance, especially in the research area. And Katalin has also extensive experience coordinating different projects that deals with these topics that I already mentioned. And today we have her as a coordinator of the Stream IT project, streaming girls and women into STEM education, innovation, and research, which is also one of the flagship projects of the European Commission in this field. So thank you very much, Katalin, for joining us, for making the time to join us today. And please, looking forward to learn a little bit more and to share with our audience the Stream IT project. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting Stream It project. This project has a different pronunciation. As a coordinator, I pronounce it as Stream It project. Let me just share my presentation. Hopefully you can follow it. So this is a horizon widening project, streaming girls and women into STEM education, innovation and research. This is the full title of the project. We started this year, January, and the project will end in December 2026. The first year, it was really dedicated to the preparation of all the activities, what will come in the next year, or from the next year. So this project focuses on STEM education with a particular attention, or so what our project is addressing is this implementation of the so-called European Manifesto of Gender Inclusive STEAM Education and Careers. So there are two main focus in this project we want to address. One is the STEAM education, what is the STEAM education approach means, and how we can link it with the gender inclusivity, gender inclusive education. And as you can see on this picture, we have, I think I can say we have an enormous consortium with 21 partners, including one affiliated partners from 20 European countries. We have a heavy Central Eastern European region in this project. We have lots of partners from the Balkan, from Eastern Europe, and we have a fewer partners from the Western part of Europe. So we have a huge consortium, but one of our main goals is that we would like to involve as much organizations, schools, educators in our project as we can. So in this project, we are targeting, so we have different target groups we are dealing with in this project. First of all, we would like to improve the participation of girls in STEM education. So we have this special focus on girls, on teenage girls between the age of 14 and 18. So what we are going to do in this project, basically from the next year, that we are organizing, we are piloting educational activities, training for girls with the goal to motivate them enter into higher education in any STEM fields. And then as we all know that girls and women face different kind of difficulties through or their lifespan, a next group we want to focus is those who graduated from the university and started their professional life as STEM professionals, either they are working in the for-profit sector or they stay at the universities and start their professional life as early researchers. But in this project, we are not aiming for only fixing the girls and the women. We really would like to concentrate on the educators and the educational institution as well. So we would like to so we are exploring how we can integrate these STEAM approaches into the curriculum, into the everyday teaching of the primary or secondary school teachers. And of course, we would like to involve those who are really responsible for initiating support for girls and women studying in STEM education. And let me just briefly introduce you, maybe not so briefly, introduce you what kind of activities we are doing in this project. So the first year was and still dedicated for preparing all the activities in the project. We just finished research. This research had two streams. In the first stream, we explored how girls enter into the higher education, what kind of difficulties they face, how they are motivated, who are the main motivators for them to encourage them to enter into tertiary education. And then we wanted to also explore how they feel themselves while studying at the universities. And then in the second research stream, we wanted to know how the educational institutions view the gender equality issues in the STEM field. So how they see, for instance, the relevance of supporting girls, what kind of measures, initiatives they think the best for supporting girls and women in STEM education. The next activities I would like to speak a little bit about is the gender and diversity inclusive tools for hands-on activities. So these are educational activities we are piloting. We have three main activity. One is dedicated for girls between the age of 14 and 18, and another one is dedicated for extracurricular activities in science centers and science museums. And then we will initiate a mentoring program for university and PhD students. We will pilot these educational programs. We will have an impact assessment, and hopefully we will publish by the end of the project toolkits and handbooks. So for other institutions, NGOs, organizations can implement these activities. We have different networks which provide opportunities for other educators, institutions to join our project. And then another major activity of us is that we are going to implement policy webinars. These webinars will look like more like workshops. So we would like to recruit people, come join us, and to think together with us what kind of recommendation we can offer for national and international regional stakeholders to better being able to implement the European manifesto. And then, just like in any other project, we will have a final conference to wrap up everything and to present all publication we will have by the end of the project. I would like to highlight two activities we are having in the project, because these activities offer opportunities to other institutions, projects, or individuals to join our project and participate in our activities. We have a co-creation working labs going on throughout the whole project. We are planning to have 2 labs per year, and these working labs, they are like internal working group within the project, but we tend to invite external experts to share knowledge and experiences. And we have different topics for these working labs, but basically these working labs are dedicated for developing our activities in the project. So for these working labs, we are very much looking forward to invite other projects coordinators and researchers dealing specifically with STEAM education or with gender equality processes, plans, implementations. The other activity is the National Inspiration Hubs. These hubs works, I think, very similarly than what is the COPS in the INSPIRE project. So we would like to create online community spaces for educators, not only educators working in primary, secondary educators, but so when we say educators, we mean like everyone who is working in STEM education. We offer a toolkit for whoever who establish these hubs for organizing 6 webinars for the inspiration hubs, and then we will have a joint online training in English for the hubs members by the end of the project. There is slightly more information on these inspirational hubs. We want to establish these hubs from the next year, so you can read more information on our website about these inspiration hubs. The countries listed are going to be those countries where inspiration hubs will be established. And as I said, we are open to invite any initiatives, organizations to start cooperating with us. And so we will help to establish your inspiration hub in your country. In our project, so we have to think a lot of what STEAM education means. And so the STEAM education, there is this A letter in the STEAM education. So first of all, we had to really think what this A means. So the A is interpreted as the art, but we would like to offer whoever would like to deal with or develop an education or a curricula towards STEAM education. So we really recommend to understand A as the liberal arts and humanities here, because it covers way more areas than the art. And it's and if we only understand art under the A letter, I think we just limit ourselves, because so it's very, in a way, it's very difficult. It's a very, and I would also say it can be very dangerous to incorporate so the art, into STEM education, because it can, and this is what I would like to strengthen, because there is a huge literature already explaining what is the purpose of integrating A into the STEM, so the STEM education, and what is STEAM learning aiming for. So the danger I would like to mention here is that incorporating art into STEM education can strengthen the gender stereotypes already working in STEM education. For instance, it can strengthen differences, the perceived differences between boys and girls. And if this art is not incorporated in an adequate way, it can just strengthen the way how teachers often perceive boys and girls, that they complement each other. So then in a long term, it will just strengthen the path, what is the right path offered for girls for their careers. And but on the other hand, STEAM education offers a lots of possibility to how to better improve various skills and capabilities, both for girls and boys. These are only just the basic skills, what are usually, or I mean, this is just a limited list of the skills and capabilities, what I usually mentioned if one read about what is STEAM education and what STEAM education is good for. So as you can see, of course, creativity, communication, which is really easy to connect with the letter A, with art is here, but it's very important or good to know that STEAM education can be used for having a better a connection with the real world problems, and STEAM education is also good for encouraging girls, because they can deal with topics which they are really interested in. So STEAM education is really it's a rich approach what educators can use in STEM education. But in our project, what we have to do is we have to address how to link STEAM education with gender inclusivity. And in the next slides, I would like to show you how we started to address this issue. This is the first time, actually, I am sharing some research results publicly. I'm going to show a few results, what we gained from expert interviews. We conducted expert interviews with 85 teachers from 14 countries, out of the project countries. And if I still have time, I have 2 slides here to speak about the research results. In the first slide, I am concentrating on what we learned on the educators and the institutions. And in the next slides, I will concentrate on what kind of recommendation we gathered from them. So the first thing I want to share that, so we were asking the representatives of the education institutions that what they think, how relevant is this question, the gender equality in STEM, how relevant specifically is increasing the percentage of girls in STEM education. And we had secondary school teachers, we have head of universities, we have researchers, university teachers answering these questions. And what we learned is that this question, increasing the number of girls, is not really an urgent need for the institutions, but not because they are like against this cause, against this aim. It's more that most of the answers were about that, yes, increasing the number of the students in general is needed because there is a shortage of employees in certain, especially in certain areas, professions of STEM. And then it was like everybody agreed that for the cause of diversity, it is needed. But it was, I think it's an important point, but gender equality in itself, like a human rights, it's not that important for the institution themselves. At least they are not, they were the representatives we asked, they were not really advocating for this. We asked them what kind of problems, obstacles they see the girls, the women, the young researchers face. And what we find is that they are quite good in like noticing what kind of obstacles the girls and women face studying in STEM. But there was this general view that the major obstacles are happening outside of the higher education institutions. But of course, the expert interviewees, they had really like diverse backgrounds. So I have to add that we met with respondents who were really aware of what kind of obstacles, for instance, the young researchers face. And then we met what was at the other end of this of the list of the respondents, that they were like saying that this is really outdated. This is simply just a positive discriminatory, and this is really bad for men and the boys studying in STEM. So we had really like a really we witnessed a really huge diversity in this answer. But in general, what we see is that the major obstacles are happening outside the higher education institutions. And if we see what is so before the higher education, it's what was mainly mentioned is this societal-based stereotypes and norms, mainly coming from the parents and the teachers. So there was a really like a huge spotlight on the secondary and primary teachers. And what are the major problems, obstacles coming like after women finish their tertiary education, so after they graduate, is the work-life balance issues, and specifically the timing of having a family, which is not something new what we are saying, but we are really strengthening this results, that it's still a huge issue for young researchers, of course for women and men as well, but we were only asking about women. So timing of the timing of having a family after graduation and after starting a professional career. I just want to share that it was not as common as, like, for instance, the obstacles when starting a family, but we gathered a result that the sexist and discriminatory attitudes still exist towards women in higher education institutes. Interestingly, we also gathered the view that this is really connected to the old men professors. there is this general view, but I'm sharing this information that this is something we gathered. This is not something we explored ourselves. And another strong view what we get from the from the representatives, so from the educational institutions, is that there are strong perceived gender-appropriate disciplines and career choices within the STEM fields, which are determined by expectation of women's societal roles. So what we found is a strong horizontal differences between the different STEM fields. So there are STEM fields which is especially good for women, and there are STEM fields which is really still not good for women. For instance, being a math teacher is a good STEM profession for a woman according to this societal according to societal norms assigned for women. And then we also found that the peer pressure in the primary, secondary school is really like something we have to address. The peer pressure coming from and so when I'm saying peer pressure, I mean peer pressure coming from the boys on girls. So teachers, when the respondents were teachers from secondary schools, they talked a lot about how strong is the peer pressure coming from boys. So girls already experiencing that they are good for STEM professions, careers or not. And they were talking about activities during their classrooms, which told us that boys have different and better opportunities to act as good in STEM subjects. And in this way, we witnessed a kind of inadequate sense of belonging. So this feeling for girls that they have this sense of, so they don't have a good sense of belonging to STEM subject already in secondary education. And then, of course, we asked a lot about how they want to support, how institutional level want to support girls. So we gathered a lot of answers about this. And what we see that in general level, and I'm saying in general, so we gathered information for 14 countries. So what we see is that in general, there is still a lack of and formal top-level institutional support. So we met with very enthusiastic head of universities, senior management of universities, but in general, what we see that the support is really connected to individual level, and I didn't bring details about it, but we also saw that those who are involved in supporting girls for entering into higher education, they are usually women professions, women professors, and they are doing mainly as a volunteer job, this support. So what we see that how institutions usually would like to support girls, they are really thinking of how to individually help girls. So they are often speak about how to increase girls' self-confidence, which is in a way I think it's good because it's already like it's accepted that there is nothing wrong with the hard knowledge, but in a way, so they usually offered users suggested to deal with that. We have to deal with the girl's self-confidence, which is true in a way, and then we have to concentrate on the secondary school teachers and their level of gender awareness. And then a few words, I know I'm running out of time, but a few words about recommendations. So we gathered lots of recommendations from the institutions, just to point out a few. The STEAM education has to start early, primary, mainly in primary school. Or even it can start it already in kindergarten. We should put a lot of emphasis on training the teachers, and the role models, they were mentioned like almost by everyone. So the role of the significance of the role models is really huge. And so we gathered, as you can see, the emphasis was on secondary education teachers, and we had a recommendation how to engage parents and the close community. But I think what we really have to highlight here is that the whole school approach is needed, even if we would like to deal with this particular so if you would like to have this particular focus on STEAM education and gender inclusivity, a whole school approach is needed, speaking of secondary education or higher education. So thank you very much for your attention. And on my last slides, you will find every information about the project.
Thank you, Katalin, for joining and for sharing this sneak peek to the results of the research. We were looking forward to it. And as expected, we should really start working as early as possible from all levels of education if we want to make a change when it comes to gender equality. And looking forward to the whole report. And I'm sure that the audience will also love to know not only about that, but there are so many good and interesting activities that will happen, and it's a great thing that is going to happen nationally as well, and across the different countries, which I think it will bring even closer the results of the project, and we are very excited to be able to support that here in Macedonia as well. And speaking about our country, I'm very pleased that our next speaker for today, I have a fellow countrywoman from Macedonia, Mrs. Ljubka Pančevska. She is the executive director of the Junior Achievement in Macedonia, and she'll present this one very interesting initiative. I'm sure that you all heard about it. It's called Girls Go Circular, that supports schoolgirls and more broadly any student to develop their digital and leadership skills while learning about the circular economy and finding solutions for a sustainable future. So mixing the digital and green, and starting from younger age for the girls. So looking forward to learning a little bit more about what's happening and what's going to happen next. But first, let me introduce very briefly Ljubka. She has more than 20 years of project experience in education, entrepreneurship, and employability of youth. Her professional career started back in 1991 as a high school teacher, actually in a vocational school. Then she moved on to the NGO sector, working on many different projects related to professional career development, education, employability of youth. And then she moved on into the public sector, but once again working on EU-funded projects for the Employment Service Agency and Ministry of Labor and Social Policies as a monitoring officer. In fact, she was the monitoring officer of one of our projects. That was when we first met many years ago. And now we are very pleased that she's running Junior Achievement in Macedonia. She has been very successful in that. And in fact, her background is in STEM education. She has a bachelor degree in food biotechnology engineering and a master in MBA management. So Ljubka, thank you very much for joining. We are looking forward to learning a little bit more about Girls Go Circular. But just before you start, let me tell the audience that if they want to check the answers to some of their questions, Rachel and Jovana were already very, very kind to provide their input. So you can open the chat function and you can find their responses in the answered questions. So thank you very much for that. Ljubka, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gabriela, for introduction, and thank you. While I'm sharing, I would like to thank to other speakers for excellent presentations and finding out about Inspire project and STREAM. A lot of acronyms over projects we do, but we are all here for STEM and overcoming gender balance. I'm trying to share it. It's here. Yes. I believe it will start now.
Perfect.
As Gabriela mentioned, I'm currently CEO of Junior Achievement Macedonia. We do work a lot of to inspire and prepare young people, especially doing and implementing programs for entrepreneurial education and financial literacy. Of course, building partnership between businesses and schools. Our junior achievement top experiences are a lot so far, but I would like to share that we are focused on three main pillars, which are entrepreneurship, financial health, and work readiness, and everything else what we do is somehow related with all these three pillars, and everything starts in schools with the teacher. Teachers are our main actors, and we provide teacher trainings at the beginning, certify them to implement our famous Junior Achievement Company program. Junior Achievement Company program is old 100 years, as we are part of Junior Achievement Worldwide organization, which celebrated in 2019 100 years existence. There are a lot of projects interconnected with the topic that I'm here inspired and need to present. But I would like to share that there are existing projects that pretty much that we are very proud of participation of girls in it. We can proudly say that 60% of these projects are being implementing with the participation of girls. As I said, everything what we do is somehow related, and there were excellent experiences in green economy, social entrepreneurship. Our organization started doing a lot of empowerment of young people in digital platforms and building digital skills. And here in between, I would like to mention this specific project, Girls Go Circular. As Gabriela mentioned, so far, it is being pretty announced in a network of European Junior Achievement European network of organizations. And we are very proud that last 4 years we started doing it in Macedonia as well. In short, the Girls Go Circular project supports schoolgirls to develop their digital and leadership skills while they are learning about the circular economy, and they do find solutions for a sustainable future. The project is implemented in our country and Europe network through a specific platform, which is written, and I will share it later in a chat, which gives students the opportunity to deepen their knowledge of circular economy. The platform and courses are designed to engage students into practical activities. Whatever Junior Achievement is doing is learning by doing, so a lot of practical activities are undergoing. They could experience it individually, but they could form groups, teams, and we can encourage them to work on some important social or environmental challenge into a team. The Girls Go Circular project encourages women participation in the STEM and reduces gender gap by empowering girls in skills needed for the digital era. Although it's entitled Girls Go Circular, I would like to emphasize that for the participants present, that we are also open the link for male students as well. So we just count for the purpose of indicators and project reports the girls participating into a platform, but the platform itself, it's open for male students as well. It started everything with Junior Achievement Europe negotiations with the European Institute for Technology Raw Materials, and of course with the support of European Commission. Since its inception, the initiative has seen steady growth. Now it's extending its reach to encompass plus 30 European countries. From Western Balkan countries, the countries that are already there are Albania, Serbia, Kosovo, Macedonia, and Montenegro. The skills developed within the project are aligned with the EU Digital Competencies Framework 2.2 and the European Entrepreneurship Competence Framework, in acronyms may be well known to participants, and the European Sustainability Competence Framework. On the right side, you may see one example of how the end result of the whole process of certification looks like. It could be in the local languages as well, although students are mainly selecting English language to pass the full platform. In short, the Learning platform and the methodology itself, it is fully online learning platform. But in some cases, we visit schools, and together with the teacher, we have some workshops and doing it in a form of workshops with high schools in Macedonia. So there are 18 learning modules, which has 16 languages. Unfortunately, it's not in Macedonia. There are some efforts to be translated and in other more languages. And the teaching methodology is based on learning by doing approach, which engage students in challenge-based exercises. They could further on extract some of elements and work on in the company program on developing some product prototype, so they can take some challenge over classes and doing it with teachers, and they can even plan a business model over it. So far, more than 40,000 girls participated and throughout Europe and from 1,000 schools, and have successfully completed Girls Go Circular Learning Program. In Macedonia, more than 3,000 girls have been registered, but we can say that 1,500 girls completed the certification. Why it's like that? The thing is that there are 2 obligatory modules and 1 elective. They are completing a percentage of the courses, and the system, the platform, gives only a percentage of achievement, and it doesn't produce the final completion. So that is the answer why we travel and visit our high schools in order to somehow support the process till the end. For me, it's very interesting project, especially that I really like the topics and how they are interconnected with everything that we do with green economy, with green agenda, but also with treatment of waste, how the learning models build some skills and knowledge over specific area and industries. Just to mention, from raw materials, manufacturing, mobility, food, health, climate, information technology. You may visit it and go in details for each and one module, and you will find for sure something that will be interested for everybody. As I said, we are very proud, although there was no possibility for Macedonian language, we've decided to be in it's important. It was important for us to be in, and girls decided to take it in English. So for them, it's not a problem to take the full completion of modules in English. What was pretty innovative over a network, it was organizing a STEM forum, which each year is over October or November. The first one, I do not have photos from the first one, but it was amazing how it created an importance of research and development, because a lot of girls are deciding to go for engineering. It's for ex-Yugoslavian countries, and especially Western Balkans, it's a common thing. We do have girls at the faculties, but later in some phases, due to some reasons that we are all mentioning, they do not decide to further on, especially in the areas of research and development, and we should do more there. So we are proud of our participation. The girls were together with their teacher, mentor teacher from Gymnasium Aco Ruskovski from Bero, Eastern Macedonia. The name and the picture shows that the challenge was related to robotics. And next, in 2024, pretty near, almost last month, Gymnasium Josip Broz Tito from Bitola, South of Macedonia, with mentor teacher Fania Numaska, were challenged to create something related to artificial intelligence and to answer to gender equality. In the current trends, so to say, towards digital and green transition, we need to find a way as a country, but also all Western Balkan countries, to find our position in innovation and technology. That should be done by strengthening the talent pool and to follow these changes. As well, we need to cultivate greater inclusivity. Girls can participate in STEM and information and communication technology studies and careers. From an extract of created brochure in a network, there are some key actions that education institutions should done. They should not serve as a pathway for learning only, but also as a catalyst, accelerating students to innovate, to develop their own unique solutions. They should inspire young people, young minds to go into hands-on technological experiences, and especially with nowadays innovations linked to artificial intelligence. And to increase the curiosity of young girls in STEM and information and communication technology by introducing some challenges, competition, and of course gamification approaches in a positive way. Key actions with girls and young women in Western Balkans. We do expect that our program Junior Achievement inspires students to take action, especially girls are active, and they do take some leadership roles through Junior Achievement Company program. But they should learn more, and we can notice it, how to advocate their ideas, to start asking for their rights and to make proper choices. They should start also exploring technology and how to use it and understand its diversity, applications. There are no limits there, so to say. Actively should participate to workshop. Not only the Junior Achievement is organizing, but also they should find our partners opportunities, and of course workshops that they organize, especially when it comes to how to get money, how to get funding through grants, to loans, and all types of financing their ideas. And we should promote participation. I'm speaking about, especially about underserved communities or rural communities, where we expect participation from girl students to be more present in on a local level, in student councils. They could initiate some activities, and in that way to create a sense of civic responsibility. How we could jointly bridge the gender gap in STEM and information technology. Many schools in Western Balkans partner with local companies and universities. We are very proud of some partnerships created between schools and business communities. And we should just inspire the participation of female students with access to these STEM mentors and hands-on experience in tech labs to be more participatory. There are, but there should be more mentorship programs for girls in politics to connect young women with female leaders in politics and social activism. There are entrepreneurship programs in the Western Balkans, but we should all jointly together to scale their businesses, skill development, networking, access to funding and mentorship. And of course, we should find some and to convince through such type of activities to funders or donors to support it, to give us financial support and to get those girls from marginalized communities, rural areas, and economically disadvantaged families to access quality education. Businesses should be pretty aware of the support needed. They could definitely provide some mentorship programs, internships, and real-world exposure to increase girls' interest. Of course, they can offer some workshops and lectures on business planning, marketing, finance, and digital tools. And they could introduce young girls, the industry experts, entrepreneurs in the classroom. It can be female entrepreneurs, real success stories brought life. Even failures are sometimes bringing lessons learned and are excellent means to inspire and motivate girls to continue into this STEM and further studies and careers. Those are my closing remarks, and there are many. They were mentioned by other speakers as well. And I'm happy there are a lot of implementers in the project mentioned. I would be happy to cooperate all together. We must cooperate and work all together to support girls and young women in Western Balkans, and not only Western Balkans, throughout Europe as well, because they have challenges in schools. They have challenges that they face in education and employment as well. Health and social equality should be mentioned here as well. We should all we are doing similar action, but we should somehow convince either individuals, educators, policymakers, industry leaders, and broader community that we should all work together to create an environment that empowers and supports girls and young women in science and technology. As I said, only through collaborative actions that will, spanning various levels and sectors, we can pave the way for a more diverse and innovative landscape, ensuring a brighter future for all. I could not see chat while I was sharing. I will stop sharing if it's there an immediate question for me. Or if
Maybe
not,
Ljubka, just share with us
because
whether
I
you...
couldn't follow the chat, sorry.
No worries. No worries. I've done it, and you're shifting us right where we should go. Thank you very much first of all for the presentation. Now, just very briefly to check the Q&As, the questions. There was one that I was also very interested in. Do you consider art, or the broadened definition of art that we have in StreamIt, when you talk about STEM? You have the forum, you have the different learning modules. And you work with different types of schools. Do you incorporate art, that stream, or only STEM in your initiative? or maybe yeah.
It's between somehow. It's not a separate model. You should visit the platform itself, and you will be amazed by art of designs and models and videos there. So definitely, it's somewhere between. So I agree that some topics could be incorporated. AIT community, especially the people there are holding these sessions over months, are pretty open for any improvements, any suggestions, whatever is needed. The platform itself was previously not so well developed, so to say. They've updated some of the models, and we are amazed how it develops into something pretty user-friendly, mobile user-friendly. So there are a lot of improvements there. Of course, there is an open space for new topics and whatever is needed, or maybe the girls will express there are a lot of surveys ongoing where they can express their opinions over platform, not only about the platform, the whole experience, because here in junior achievement we are more focused on experiences. We do have this inspire thing into experience, and then to prepare them and success. It's a part of strategy of junior achievement, where we do believe that there are activities to inspire them, then to prepare them, a lot of activities on the terrain. And when we see them in real as and achieved persons in our alumni club, they got succeed.
Perfect, perfect. Once again, emphasizing the importance of role model, of businesses, of everybody collaborating. So thank you very much, Ljubka. I know that you had another event that you need to attend in 2-3 minutes. So thank you very much for this insight. And we had different questions in the Q&A. We also had some questions in the chat. Maybe just to add about the intersectionality and the importance of having an audit before you do anything, before you need to define your marginalized group, whom you want to address in your gender equality plan. It's good to have a tool that you can use, and maybe Jovana or Rachel, you can add a couple of words on that, because I think that is also, if you want to address it, you need to know how to identify it, and then to design the actions, and then to do the evaluation. And that is something that there will be a lot of resources in your knowledge hubs, and it's going to be a result of your collaborative work within the communities of practice. So maybe just some closing and remarks, words in that sense, on the importance of these resources, and how all of our participants, not only on the webinar, but in the ecosystem, can approach them.
Thanks very much, Gabriela. Yeah, so for example, for designing the gender equality plan, there are lots of resources available on how to develop, how to carry out a gender equality audit in your organisation. In terms of taking an intersectional approach, well, this is more complicated because of different legislation in different member states, as well as at the European level. But this doesn't mean that we can't develop intersectional interventions that will really try and help promote underrepresented groups within higher education institutions, within research and innovation organisations. So we think it's a two-track strategy, really. I mean, you can collect data if it's self-identified data, but often the barriers stop the legislation for data protection, stop institutions moving forward with collecting a more intersectional perspective to gender equality. So what we're trying to say is you shouldn't let that stop you developing interventions. These interventions should be developed with underrepresented minority groups, but also the burden shouldn't fall on them. You know, this needs to be developed with higher top-level management to make sure that these kind of interventions, there's accountability for these kinds of interventions in organisations and research-performing organisations. I don't know if Giovanna had anything that she wanted to add here. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. There was one very interesting question from the participants, and I will connect it to my question to Katalin. the programs that and to all the others that want to add. Is there I guess the answer is yes, but I will leave that to you. Is there a difference and there are challenges when you work in your project with girls or with boys? Do they respond similar to, maybe for the research it can be broken down, and whether these programs that we're going to have in this in the project will be open to boys as well or only to girls?
So we haven't implemented any educational activities in the project, but we will have activities which will be open for boys as well. The mentoring program for the university students, where we are expecting more PhD students and MA level students, but the mentoring program will be open for men as well. And then this extracurricular activity we are planning to pilot, they will be open for boys and girls in the Science Museum and Science Centers. And speaking of differences of girls and boys, out of the research, answering based on the research result, there are different answers to this. So it really depends on the gender awareness of the teacher, of the respondents who were answering these kind of questions. But of course, we gathered answer that there is no difference at all between boys and girls, and there were teachers who were more aware of what kind of difficulties the girls face already at the primary, secondary level, and they were speaking of differences, but not with a biased view. So there are really like many answers for this, but it's what I think what is more interesting is because there are differences we are witnessing. Like if you see the statistical data, of course, we see that there are more girls oriented towards biology and more boys oriented towards I don't know, space engineering. So there are differences. The interesting is how these differences are formed. What are the reasons that there are these differences? And I think one more interesting side of this question is that what we want to do with these differences, I think. And yeah,
That's the right question.
Teachers, teachers, educators, what they want to do with the different, and if they see the differences, how they see the differences. And speaking of intersectionality, it's also important to see the differences are naturally formed. And we often just speak about girls and boys, but it's important to see that it's not neither of they are homogeneous groups. So there are lots of needs and differences between the girls as well.
That's true. Yeah, indeed, the right question is what do we do with these findings and how do we proceed? We will tackle upon, and all of you that are our guests today will tackle upon some of the things that we have identified in the different projects that we are presenting today and the different projects that we will definitely have in the future. But as Katalin and all the others emphasized, there is a need for systematic change and cooperation. In both areas that we try to tackle today, research and innovation, to put it as a joint area, and education, they're very, very interconnected. So thank you very much. Thanks to our panelists for taking the time today and share their great initiatives. Wishing you a successful implementation of all the planned actions and many, many new initiatives in this field, because as we identify today, there is a need to do a lot of more things. And we would, of course, love to hear about them in some of our next policy activities and present them to our public, to our audience. I would also like to express my gratitude to our engaging audience today. As always, I invite you to subscribe to our newsletter at the Western Balkan Info Hub. I guess that my colleagues already shared the links, and the social media. And just to announce that we have many exciting events happening even this week in the coming period. So do check them out and join us on our next webinar series and different activities that we're organizing. And so thank you. And until next time, let's keep connected, as already emphasized, and working jointly on securing inclusive gender equality across research and education. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.